So I'm Dan Higgins. I'm the head of group procurement for the Epwing group. Epwing group has not long recently been taken over by the Lauman group, who's a European windows manufacturer. So the Epwing group are made up of lots of different companies. So there's Storm King, who make GRP roof canopies. Then majority of our suppliers, so Epwing Windows make the window systems. We've got Swish, we have multiple different companies, and we also have what we call trade counters. So, you know, the likes of you and I can go into a shop and buy, you know, a piece of soffit board, we can buy degreaser, we can buy underground pipe and stuff. So the Epwing group own a number of different branches. So there's 114 different trade counters, and then we also, as a company, predominantly we're a manufacturing facility, so we have 5 different manufacturing sites. Is it 5? We've got a number of different manufacturing sites. So yeah, there's I've been with the company for 2 years now, and one of the things that I was keen on was looking at our usage, because the amount of companies that we have, we grow through acquisition, and because of the amount of companies that we have obviously have a number of employees, and those employees, the majority of them, I would say 9 times out of 10 would have a mobile phone. One of the things that stuck out for me was the charges that we were paying with our incumbent at the time. So I was looking for an alternative, and that's when I found Envision. Found Envision through networking and through you know, personal connections, and yeah, began journey with Envision last July, I think it was. Been quite a journey, through no fault of Envision's. It was the process, the way it was previously, was that we would have separate cost centres. So whilst we grow through acquisition and we've got the same VAT registered company, we do have separate bank accounts. And what I didn't realise was, I thought it was all paid by group and then it was, you know, cross-charged internally. That wasn't the case. So when I got it set up, group were making payments for the connections, but it was causing everyone else a lot of admin issues, including myself. So with the support of Envision, again, through no fault of their own, we've managed to rectify that back to where it was. There's been some connection issues, but that's what you would expect with, you know, 850 different connections. I would say there's maybe 10 or 15 that we've had troubleshooting issues, things like, you know, porting numbers. People are still on the same number that they were previously rather than the number they should have been. But again, it's through no fault of Envision's. A lot of them are down to the handsets. We do have older handsets in some of the areas. So one of the things that we've established is making sure that, and this is what I will always give credit to Envision for, anything that happens, always there to pick up the phone, always there to resolve an issue. If there is an issue, it usually takes less than 24 to 48 hours to resolve. They're always on top of it. I'm always being kept up to date, even if it's things that they can't control and it's come through the network. The one thing that I really appreciate, and anyone in a supply chain industry would appreciate, is communication. Whether it's bad news or good news, they always keep you up to date with what's going on. And for me, that's the perfect supplier relationship. Working with our IT team, the IT team had a master spreadsheet of all the users around the group and all the numbers. So for me, I wanted to do it in one hit. I was advised by Envision and my boss that doing that could cause a few issues. So what we decided to do is do it site by site. So again, communication, the SIMs being issued out, the SIMs in themselves were all labelled up, all 750 of them labelled up, sent out to myself, sent out to people's home addresses. There was nothing that was too much trouble. Everything was done, it was done on time. And then the port dates, we would establish a port date, because again, having so many people on site, you can't guarantee that that person's going to be in the country, you can't guarantee that that person's not going to be on annual leave. So doing it site by site, it allowed us to, you know, reduce the number of people that we were speaking to. So if there was 200 people on site, then again, I would have communication internally to say, is everyone happy with this port date? Anyone who came back to me saying I'm on holiday, can we delay it? Again, back to Envision. Envision sorted it out. Port dates were delayed. So the process in itself, whilst there were hiccups, it weren't through Envision's fault, and it was probably me not being, it's not my forte. So having that support there to make sure that everything went as smooth as possible. The transition was very, very simple. But I said, like I said, the hiccups that we had were probably internal issues that I could probably, in hindsight, have done better, and it's a lessons learned for me. But again, can't recommend the support from Envision enough, because Hannah was always on the phone to me, email straight away. Danny was always keeping me updated. And again, if they weren't available, there was always somebody there from the help team. So not once did I feel like a duck out of water. I say it's not my forte, but anything that I needed help resolving or anything that I needed support on, straight away, no issues whatsoever. From day one, from the conversations that I had and from the onboarding process and that support, for me, it was that, okay, these guys are not just looking for a quick win on a business, they're looking for a long-term partnership. Again, working in purchasing, I'm looking for suppliers with a long-term partnership. So I'm not looking for a quick save, for 1 year and then move suppliers. It's not what I like to do. I like to have an established supply base, and if we can then grow that relationship organically, then that's the best way to do it. And that's what I noticed with Envision, in comparison to our previous supplier. We weren't just a number. It was very much a case of, you are a key account. Whether we're a key account or not, we were treated like we were a key account, and it was the customer care for me. I'd highly recommend Envision. Yeah, again, like I said, there was nothing too small, nothing too big that was an issue. Any time that we thought it couldn't be done, Envision were supporting of us. Whether it was getting a SIM card out to a user because they'd input the SIM card on the wrong date because they hadn't been advised of a port date. Not everyone's techie, not everyone, we've got people that are above the age of 40 that are not quite, don't have that technological advance, knowledge, and in terms of the process. Again, Envision highlighted the process from the outset. This is what you should do on the date of your port. Swap your SIM. If your network goes down, look at your network settings, refresh, blah blah blah. But the one thing is that even though some people didn't follow that process, it wasn't a case of, well, we've already sent you this. It was a case of, right, what can we do to support you? Like I said, whether it's a phone call, whether it was an email, it was very, very quick. It was like the responses were very prompt. The communication was very clear. And even if the responses weren't what we wanted to hear, it was what is needed in order to resolve this issue. And like I said, whenever we did have issues, they were very, very short-lived.